The Beach, based on the novel by Alex Garland, was a movie released in 2000 and quickly became a cult classic. Directed by Danny Boyle and starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Tilda Swinton, and Virginie Ledoyen. And honestly, the movie still holds up. The soundtrack alone is incredible, with All Saints, Left Field, Blur, Moby, Dario G. It's absolute late 90s perfection. But one of the biggest stars of the movie wasn't actually the cast, it was Thailand itself. Before CGI heavy movies became the norm, The Beach captured Thailand in a way that felt raw, real, and almost mythical. The cliffs, the jungle, the beaches, the backpacker chaos of Bangkok, it made an entire generation want to jump on a plane immediately. And honestly, it worked. Thailand went from being mainly a backpacker destination to becoming one of the most visited countries in the world. So I rewatched The Beach recently and started wondering, where were these scenes actually filmed? Are the places still there? And what do they look like now, 26 years later? So here are the filming locations from The Beach then versus now. Before we start, if I could ask that you like and subscribe to this channel, it would help me out a lot and allows me to make more content like this. Let's go. The Reclining Buddha opening scene. Now, the opening scene introduces us to Leonardo DiCaprio as Richard standing in front of a giant reclining Buddha, supposedly somewhere in Bangkok. And honestly, it's a genius opening. Within seconds, you're thrown straight into Thailand. The heat, the chaos, culture shock, and the feeling of being completely out of your comfort zone. But here's the twist. This scene wasn't filmed in Bangkok at all. It was actually filmed in Krabi in southern Thailand. So back in 1999, when this was filmed, Krabi was still relatively untouched internationally. Places like Riley Beach and Phi Phi Islands were popular with backpackers, but nowhere near the global tourist machine that they are today. And the Buddha itself, completely fake. The production team reportedly built it from polystyrene and painted it gold to resemble a traditional Thai reclining Buddha. But the real inspiration was actually Wat Po in Bangkok, home to Thailand's famous 46-meter reclining Buddha. But because the real statue is inside a crowded temple hall, they recreated it in Krabi to give themselves more freedom with camera angles and lighting. Now, today, Wat Po is one of Bangkok's busiest tourist attractions, and honestly, it's still absolutely worth visiting. The snake blood scene in Khao San Road. So Richard walks through this loud, chaotic street full of backpackers, neon lights, market stalls, and random people trying to sell him literally everything imaginable. Then somebody offers him a shot of snake blood, and he downs it like a legend. This scene was filmed on Khao San Road. Back in the late 90s, Khao San Road was the backpacker capital of Southeast Asia. Cheap guest houses, fake IDs, bucket drinks, travel agencies selling questionable bus tickets all across Thailand. It was messy, chaotic, and honestly kind of cool. This was peak backpacker Thailand before social media existed. Now, today, Khao San Road is way more commercialized. The little traveler cafes are now giant bars blasting EDM until 4 a.m. There are cannabis shops everywhere, LED signs, massive tourist crowds, and way more package tourists than backpackers. But honestly, it's still fun. It still has that weird Bangkok energy where you feel like absolutely anything could happen at any moment. And yes, you can still find places offering snake blood shots if that's really what you want from the beach. The On Hotel, where Richard meets Daffy. So after surviving Khao San Road, Richard checks into this grimy little backpacker hotel and meets Daffy, played brilliantly by Robert Carlyle. This is where the whole story really begins. These scenes were filmed at the Memory at On Hotel in Phuket, Old Town. So when The Beach filmed here, the hotel was rough around the edges, dark corridors, tiny rooms, and old wooden interiors. Perfect for the movie. And honestly, this was what backpacking in Thailand actually looked like back then. It wasn't all luxury villas and infinity pools. Now. Today, the hotel has been fully renovated. It's cleaner, brighter, and much more boutique than it was in the film. But surprisingly, it still feels recognizable. You can still walk the same hallways where Daffy meets Richard and gives him the map to the beach. And for movie fans, that's honestly pretty cool. the first beach town. So before Richard finds the secret island, the movie shows him arriving in this tropical beach town full of massages, bars, backpackers living their best lives. These scenes were filmed around Ao Nang. Back in the 1990s, Ao Nang was still pretty chilled out. Cheap beach huts, reggae bars, budget cafes, long-tail boats everywhere. Thailand still felt like a traveler discovery back then. And now, today, Ao Nang is far more developed. There are proper resorts, shopping strips, chain restaurants, and thousands more tourists than there used to be. But honestly, it still looks beautiful, especially at sunset. You can still catch glimpses of the old Thailand if you walk away from the busiest areas. And the limestone cliffs still look exactly like they did in the movie. The rainstorm bungalow scene. One of the most relatable scenes in the movie is when Richard gets locked out of his bungalow during a tropical storm after losing his key. And anybody who's backpacked Asia has probably had a moment like this. I know I have. These scenes were filmed around the Krabi PP region using the kind of cheap beach bungalows that dominated Thailand in the 90s. Back then, these places were incredibly basic. Wooden huts, fans instead of aircon, cold showers, and sometimes barely any electricity. But honestly, that was part of the experience. Now, most of those old backpacker bungalows have either disappeared or been replaced by resorts. Thailand's islands became far more luxury focused over the last 2 decades. But if you go far enough away from the main tourist areas, you can still find pockets of old school Thailand that feel very similar to what Richard experienced in the film. Haew, the campfire scene. So before swimming to the hidden island, Richard, Etienne and Francois spend the night around a campfire on a quiet beach. The location used was Haew. At the time, Haew was incredibly quiet. No beach clubs, no luxury resorts, just long stretches of white sand and almost nobody around, which made it perfect for the movie. Now, surprisingly, Haew still feels relatively untouched compared to Thailand's more famous beaches. It's quieter, slower, and much less developed. And honestly, it still feels like the kind of place backpackers in the 90s would have stumbled across and tried to keep secret. The swim to the island. This is one of the most iconic sequences in the entire movie. Richard, Etienne and Francois swimming through dark water beneath giant cliffs searching for paradise. These scenes were filmed around Koh Phi Phi Lay, So back in those days, these islands genuinely felt remote. The cliffs, hidden lagoons and caves looked like something from another planet, which is exactly why the movie worked so well visually. Today, the Phi Phi Islands are one of Thailand's busiest tourist areas. There are endless boat tours every day, but weirdly, the scenery itself still looks almost identical. Those cliffs are so dramatic that even with tourism everywhere, the place still feels cinematic in real life. The marijuana plantations. So halfway through the movie, things suddenly get darker when Richard discovers the hidden marijuana fields protected by armed guards deep in the jungle. These scenes were filmed in dense jungle areas around Krabi. The production mixed fake cannabis plants into the real jungle to create the plantations. And honestly, the location choice was perfect because southern Thailand's jungle already feels mysterious and slightly dangerous naturally. Today, Thailand's relationship with cannabis is obviously very different from what it was in the year 2000, which makes these scenes kind of funny to revisit now. Back then, the plantations felt secretive and dangerous. And now you can barely walk 5 minutes in tourist areas without seeing a cannabis shop. Thailand changed a lot. The waterfall jump. The waterfall jump scene is still one of the coolest moments in the movie. These scenes were filmed at Suwat Waterfall in Khao Yai National Park. When the movie released, hardly anybody outside Thailand knew that this waterfall existed. The jungle setting made it feel completely hidden from the whole world. And now, today, it's one of the most famous waterfalls in Thailand thanks largely to the beach. You can still visit it, hike to it, and stand in the exact spot from the film. But jumping is now heavily restricted for safety reasons because too many tourists tried recreating the scene, which honestly was probably inevitable. Maya Bay the hidden beach. And finally, the location where everybody remembers, Maya Bay, the hidden paradise itself. The then. Before the beach, Maya Bay was relatively unknown internationally. It was beautiful, remote, and genuinely looked like paradise. Then the movie came out, and everything changed. The now. Today, Maya Bay is one of the most famous beaches in the world, and ironically, the movie's warning about paradise being destroyed by tourism basically came true in real life. The beach became so overcrowded that Thailand eventually had to close it for environmental recovery. Coral reefs were damaged, marine life disappeared, and thousands of boats arrived every day. And now the beach has reopened with strict visitor limits and environmental protections. And honestly, it's probably for the best, because even 26 years later, Maya Bay still feels special. You can absolutely still see why Danny Boyle chose it. My final thoughts after rewatching The Beach now feels weirdly nostalgic. Not just because it's a great movie, but because it captured a version of Thailand that doesn't really exist anymore. Back then, Thailand still felt raw, unpredictable, and undiscovered to a lot of Western travelers. Now it's one of the biggest tourism destinations on earth. Some places changed massively, some barely changed at all. But what's crazy is that so many of these locations are still recognizable 26 years later. And honestly, after revisiting all these places, I kind of understand why this movie had such a huge impact on tourism. Because when you watch The Beach, Thailand genuinely looks like paradise. And sometimes it still does. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, again, like and subscribe to the channel. I love doing it and hope to see you again on the next video very soon.